What is MACD and how do you use it? In this MACD indicator explain video, I'll be sharing with you how does the MACD indicator work and how to read the MACD so that you know how to use the MACD indicator effectively in the stock market. So if you're wondering how to use MACD, this MACD indicator tutorial is for you. What is the MACD indicator? MACD stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergence, and it is a momentum indicator which measures momentum in the market. There are three main things to look out for in the MACD indicator. The first is the MACD line, the second is the signal line, and the last one is the histogram. These are the three things that make up the MACD indicator. Now let's take a look at each of them individually to see how they are derived. While most charting platforms nowadays help you calculate and plot these lines, it is still important to know how they are derived so that you get a better understanding of how the indicator works. So for the MACD line, it is derived by subtracting the 26 EMA or the 26 exponential moving average from the 12 EMA or the 12 exponential moving average. And for the signal line, it is derived by taking the 9-day EMA of the MACD. And for the histogram, we get the histogram by taking the MACD line minusing the signal line. And when the MACD line is above the signal line, the histogram will be above the baseline and it will be indicated in green. And when the MACD line is below the signal line, the histogram will be below the baseline and it will be indicated in red. The baseline for the histogram is indicated over here. So the baseline is this horizontal line across the indicator. So when the MACD line or the blue line is below the signal line or the red line, the histogram will be below the baseline and it will be indicated in red. And when the MACD line is above the signal line, the histogram will be above the baseline and it will be indicated in green. So those are the three main things that go in a MACD indicator. And they will give you a solid foundation on how to read the MACD indicator. Now that we know how to read the MACD, the next thing is how do we use the MACD indicator? There are a couple of ways to use the MACD indicator, and these are the two main ways to use the MACD. So the first way to use the MACD indicator is the MACD crossover strategy, and then the second way to use the MACD indicator is the MACD divergence strategy. So for the MACD crossover strategy, it provides us two signals, a buy signal and a sell signal. The buy signal is indicated when the MACD line is above the signal line, and a sell signal is indicated when the MACD line is below the signal line. Let's take a look at an example of how we can use this MACD crossover strategy on our price chart. We'll begin from the left side of the chart and move toward the right side of the chart. So for the left side of the chart, over here we have a buy signal because the MACD line is above the signal line. The MACD line in the indicator is represented by the blue line and the signal line is represented by the orange or red color line. And over here, since the MACD line is above the signal line, we get a buy signal at this point of the price chart. And we'll write our profits until the next point over here. At this point, the MACD line crosses below the signal line. And based on the MACD crossover strategy, this indicates to us a sell signal. And we would exit our position at this point in the price chart. And it is not long before the MACD line crosses above the signal line again. So over at this point over here, the MACD line crosses above the signal line, which gives us a buy signal. And we'll hold our position until the next point where the MACD line crosses below the signal line. So over at this point over here, the MACD line crosses below the signal line, which gives us a sell signal. And we'll exit our position over at this point over here. The next buy signal will be at this point over here because the MACD line crosses above the signal line. We have a buy signal. Over at this part over here, we have a bit of a whipsaw where the MACD line and the signal line were very close to one another. So we'll hold our position till the point where there's a clear signal that the MACD line crosses below the signal line, which is at over this part over here. So this will give us a sell signal. So from here, we'll be out of the markets until the next buy signal is generated by the MACD indicator. And the next buy signal is over at this point over here where the MACD line crosses above the signal line. This gives us a buy signal over at this point over here. And the next sell signal is at this point in the price chart. Based on this one example, we see how the MACD indicator is quite accurate in generating buy and sell signals, which allows us to capture a large portion of the trend. The potential downside is the whipsaws that it generates from its buy and sell signals. There is another way to use the MACD crossover strategy. As we have went through in the earlier part of the video, when the MACD line is above the signal line, the histogram will be above the baseline and will be indicated in green. And when the MACD line is below the signal line, the histogram will be below the baseline and be red in color. Using the MACD crossover strategy, we can also derive buy and sell signals just by taking a look at the MACD histogram. A buy signal will be generated when the histogram is green, and a sell signal will be generated when the histogram is red. So the red part of the histogram will be sell signals, and the green part of the histogram will be buy signals. So for the MACD crossover strategy, you can take a look at either the MACD line and the signal line or the histogram. The next MACD strategy is the MACD divergence strategy. There are two things that you need to know for the MACD divergence strategy. You need to know what is a bullish divergence, and you also need to know what is a bearish divergence. For a bullish divergence, the technical indicator suggests that price should be moving up, but price continues moving downwards. And for a bearish divergence, the technical indicator suggests that price should be moving down, but price continues to move up. So there is a divergence in both cases. In both cases, we see that the technical indicator indicates one thing, but the price does the opposite. And that is what we call a divergence. And there are two types of divergence, the bullish divergence and a bearish divergence. We say that there's a bullish divergence when the price is moving down, while the technical indicator indicates that it should be moving upwards. And for a bearish divergence, the price is moving up, but the technical indicator suggests that price should be moving down. So the divergence between stock prices and the technical indicator is kind of similar to speed versus acceleration and deceleration. The speed of an object can still be positive even when there's a deceleration. And the same thing is true for stock prices. Stock prices can be moving up even while the technical indicator suggests that prices should be moving down instead. And this divergence between stock prices and the technical indicator, in this case the MACD indicator, can generate for us buy and sell signals. Let's take a look at some of these buy and sell signals that the MACD divergence strategy provides us. In this example, from this point over here to this point over here, the stock price has declined. But during the same period, the MACD line is increasing. So price is decreasing while the MACD is increasing. And when this happens, we say that there's a bullish divergence. And the bullish divergence, as its name suggests, is bullish in nature. So when there's a bullish divergence in the stock market, there's a high probability that stock prices will move up from there. So a bullish divergence indicates a possible buy signal. And for the next example, from this point over here to this point over here, stock price is increasing. But during the same period, the MACD is decreasing. So stock price is increasing while the MACD is decreasing. And when this happens, we say that there's a bearish divergence. And when a bearish divergence appears in the stock market, it signals to us that stock prices might fall from there. Therefore, a bearish divergence indicates a possible sell signal. And for this example, from this point over here to this point over here, stock prices is increasing while the MACD is decreasing. So the price of a stock is increasing while the MACD line is decreasing. And this is a bearish divergence. And a bearish divergence indicates that stock prices might fall from there, which generates a potential sell signal for us as traders in the stock market. These are the MACD divergence strategy. The bullish divergence between stock prices and the MACD indicator helps us generate a potential buy signal, while a bearish divergence between stock prices and the MACD indicator indicates to us a possible sell signal. So these are the two of the few ways to use the MACD indicator. The first strategy that I share with you is the MACD crossover strategy. A buy signal is generated when the MACD line is above the signal line or when the histogram is green in color and above the baseline. And a sell signal is generated when the MACD line is below the signal line or when the histogram is red and below the baseline. And for the second strategy, the MACD divergence strategy, a buy signal is generated when there is a bullish divergence. And a bullish divergence takes place when the stock price is declining while the MACD is rising. And a sell signal is generated when there's a bearish divergence. And a bearish divergence takes place while stock prices are increasing while the MACD is decreasing. So to recap, in this video, I've shared with you what is the MACD, how to read the MACD by taking a look at the three main things that goes inside the MACD indicator. That is the MACD line, the signal line, and the histogram. And the next thing I shared with you is how to use the MACD indicator in the stock market. And for that, I shared with you two strategies that you can use in the stock market using the MACD indicator. So if you have learned something from this video, smash that like button because it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel because each week I release one new video about investing, trading, and the stock market. I'll see you in those other videos. To your financial success.